Let's read this Bible story titled Daniel in the Lion's Den. This takes place in the book of Daniel in chapter 6. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. At this, the administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so. Finally, these men said, "We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God." So the administrators and the satraps went as a group to the king and said, "O King Darius, the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or man during the next 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den." So Darius put the decree in writing. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows were open toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. Then the men went as a group to the king and said to him, "Remember, O king, that according to the law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed." So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. He called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel replied, "My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions." The king was overjoyed, and at his command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. King Darius issued a decree in honor of the living God of Daniel, asking his people to fear and revere him. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Understanding the story. Daniel's rise to power does not compromise his integrity. He humbly acknowledges that God is the source of all his blessings, rather than abandon his faith. Even for a short period, Daniel is prepared to lose his position and face death. His faith never wavers, knowing that he can rely on God to save him. And so can we. I love you. Come on back, and we'll do it again.